Hello again. In this tutorial, I'll be going through a lesson command that contains trigger points. What trigger points are, they're actually sections within a lesson that contains commands to do specific functions such as spawning mobs, spawning spaceships, or other architectures, as well as perhaps teleporting or any other commands that Minecraft allows you to do. So let me start by going through a lesson, an example lesson, which would be 25. So we'll start by entering p command 25, and this, if you remember, will spawn, teleport you and the student to a specific location. In this example, it actually contains the trigger point from the beginning. So here you can see the sections in the background. That's in yellow, and some of the sections actually are the colors that are supposed to be in violet. So the sections in yellow indicate they are trigger points, and sections that are in violet, they are dialogues, as explained earlier in the previous tutorial. Yeah, so in this specific example of lesson 25 or p command 25, it contains a book or a letter that you are supposed to read with the student. You must check if the student has the book or give the student a copy of the book. This contains important messages that you and the student must perhaps read and not memorize fully, but try to remember because it contains what you're supposed to do within that lesson. For example, it explains what's going to happen, and also some other things that you do need to remember as a very important part of the lesson. So here it tells you to use the warped button as the key in my chest to open the secret gate. So this is obviously something that you must try to make student remember as he or she reads the letter. Right, so here we have the student teleported, and you'll notice that, let me show you what the student's screen looks like. Right, so this is what student sees. So here on the right hand side, you'll see on the top right corner, you'll see some bluish arrows which indicate portion effect that disallows student from jumping, and the shackles that prevents the student from moving. So basically the student is in frozen state, and you can also tell by the student list on the right hand side that the color is in teal, so sort of ice color. This indicates that student is frozen, as well as the fact that within these square brackets the A represents the student is in adventure mode. So immediately the student was teleported to section 4, and if you remember from my previous tutorial, the sections are supposed to start with 0, and I guess some of you would guess correctly by understanding that these trigger points, they are not actually, they don't teleport you or the student to these locations, although these commands might specify a location where, for example, you want to spawn mobs. So yeah, these yellow again are trigger points that contain no dialogues, but rather list the commands that you want to trigger. For example, you can just summon a horse right here without typing any Minecraft specific command, right? And you can also just remove, I think removing mobs only remove zombies. So let me try that actually right now. So p mobs 5 will spawn some mobs. Immediately remove the mobs. by using this remove mobs menu. Right. So these yellow points indicate commands or list the commands that you want to do. So for example, you want to set time of day, time as day or night. It's gonna have lots of different commands. For example, this summons lightning and destroy some blocks in order to reveal a set of TNT cannons that player or student will use in order to fight off mobs. But I'll show you that later. So again, the section here in lesson 25 starts with 4 because 0 to 3, these are trigger points. They don't represent any dialogues or locations where you and the student will be teleported to. Right, so student is frozen, and as you can see on the right hand side, student is given repeatedly, this is unavoidable, dialogue that you're supposed to exchange with the student. And assuming that the student has given correct answer, you give points in order to unfreeze him or her. So now the student is able to move. Let me make the student go to the next section, which is right at the door. So again, the student is frozen, and you're also given a dialogue once you approach this here. So, and to read it fully, you can just hover over the section and see what you're supposed to ask and what the student's supposed to answer. So again, given student has provided correct answer, give some points to student, and as you can see, student is given this message that the answer was correct, right? So yeah, let's get right to the trigger point where it gets a little bit complicated because it does require some timing that you must manage in order to provide these effects at the right time, at the right place. So let me get to the location where this effect is supposed to take place. Oh, it's right here. So here, in the student's or a teacher's view, once you go through these sections, once you reach towards the end, the last section, you're given this 10th section or trigger point, which basically summons a lot of lightning and some explosions, as well as destroying some blocks, which you will see once you press it. That's pretty loud. So yeah, as you saw, it does a whole lot of effects, which reveals these are TNT cannons that you can use this lever to fire. And what is supposed to happen is that you're also supposed to summon some mobs using the trigger point 11 in this parking lot, which are within the range of these TNT cannons. So it's gonna take a while to destroy them all, obviously, because these TNT cannons are not accurate at all. They are sort of randomly fired, as you saw. So yeah, so these are trigger points, and at this point you're probably wondering if you need to memorize everything here, but again, you don't need to memorize everything, but you do need to familiarize yourself with each lesson so that you know the storyline, you know what sort of events are supposed to take place, which are not that many in the entire chapters of this story, but the last one is quite complicated. It gets complicated because there are some effects that actually destroys this Pixel Academy, so that student feels the need to take revenge. Yeah, so but this tutorial does explain all the elements of the sections as well as the menu. So please uh, practice, once you have watched this video, and ask any questions at all, or even suggestions to improve these features. Thank you very much.